Hey everyone, Micah here with Electrek, and today we are reviewing the Metakoo Cybertrack 100. Now if you've never heard of this e-bike before, that's understandable. It's a pretty new Amazon brand, but it's a nice little $799 electric mountain bike. So we're going to test it out and see how good a cheap e-bike can be.
Now, as much as I enjoy riding the expensive electric mountain bikes, at several $1,000s, those are of course out of the budget of many riders. So at $799, this Metakoo Cybertrack 100 e-bike definitely has a certain amount of appeal right out of the box. That being said, don't get too carried away. This is more of a trail bike than a serious mountain bike. It can handle off-roading, of course, that's what it's meant for, but I wouldn't take it off any extreme jumps if I were you. Instead, this is for getting off the beaten path and enjoying the outdoors on a budget e-bike. To bring the price down, you'll find that the Metakoo here doesn't offer much in the way of fancy features, and the performance is okay, not amazing. We've got a 350 watt hub in the rear that gives acceptable power. It'll get me up to 20 miles an hour on throttle only quite easily on the road, though it does take a bit longer off-road, which makes sense as off-roading requires more power. There's also a basic battery that comes with 375 watt-hours of capacity in a 36 volt 10.4 amp hour configuration. Again, it's fine, but not generous. Because the bike is not overly powerful and it's not draining so much from that battery, you can eke out up to 30 miles from the pack in pedal assist mode, or obviously less if you're relying on throttle all the time. The pedal assist is cadence sensor based, not nicer torque sensor based, so it's got some lag to it, but it doesn't bother me too much. It just means that you're on your own for that first second or two until the sensor can pick up your pedal speed. What is a bit fancy here, if you can call it that, is that you actually get 21 speeds with this e-bike, a feature I almost never see on electric bikes. You generally only get one chainring up front on e-bikes, but the Cybertrack 100 gives you a whopping 3 of them. Well, here's why there's a parts shortage in the bike industry right now. Metakoo's hogging them all. Now in theory, this gives you more gear ratio options and finer control over your pedal cadence for a wider range of inclines. In practice, it's more gears than I think anyone really needs on an e-bike like this, especially since the motor helps you and you don't absolutely need to be in the 100% best perfectly optimized gear ratio all the time. But for those that geek out about gearing, here you go, a pair of shifters and 21 speeds. Knock yourselves out. On the braking side of things, we've got basic mechanical disc brakes. They work great and they're all you really need for a simple e-bike like this. And to add a bit of comfort into the mix, there's a cheap suspension fork up front. Again, another fine part, not fancy, but not something I could break over my knee too easily either. The 46-pound bike here seems decently solid and pretty well put together. I even appreciate the bit of internally run cables, even if the welds aren't the prettiest I've ever seen. In terms of the ride, I didn't go in expecting much, but I was pleasantly surprised. Again, it doesn't compare to the several $1,000 e-bikes, but it also doesn't have to. Standing on its own, it's a fun bike to ride and tool around on. The suspension is enough to make uneven surfaces doable without jarring your wrist bones apart. The power is plenty for average riders, even though it might not climb steep hills on its own, and the range is enough for an afternoon of fun riding if you're giving some good ol' honest pedaling assistance yourself and not just rocking throttle 100% of the time. You can rock throttle, that's fine, just don't expect that 30-mile range. I think this could be a great e-bike for anyone on a budget that still wants to get off the roads and explore their local trails or parks. And if you want to ride on the road as well, of course you can still do that. The bike isn't really set up as a great commuter e-bike though. I mean, there are no lights, there are no fenders, nothing to really make this a ride to work and back bike without adding your own accessories. But you could do it. It's just really more of a cheap trail bike is what it is. In that sense, I think Metakoo did a good job with their first model. I don't know if I can forgive the Cybertrack name as being one letter away from a copyright suit with Tesla, but what can you do? And as a final thought, while I can't attest to its longevity after only a couple weeks of riding, it's at least an Amazon sold product, which means it will be decently easy to go back to Amazon if something should fall short of expectations. But from what I've seen and felt so far, The bike performs great for the price, and it will definitely be an interesting new model for the bargain basement class of e-bikes.
Thanks for watching, everyone. We hope you enjoyed that review of the Metakoo Cybertrack 100. If you did, why don't you give this video a thumbs up? And don't forget to subscribe either, so you won't miss any of our future electric vehicle videos. We'll see you here next time.